The research ship Harmony's light drifted quietly through space, its blue and silver hull gleaming under the light of distant stars. Inside the ship, 3 different alien species worked together in peaceful harmony. The Veltar looked like walking crystals that sparkled when they moved. The Nephrim were clouds of gas that floated in special suits. The Klaxon resembled giant insects with gentle eyes and careful movements. Science Officer Zithara pressed her crystal hand against the control panel. Her species had evolved on a world of singing stones and gentle winds. Violence was something they had read about in old history books, not something they understood. She watched the scanner display with interest as it showed a new solar system ahead. Another uninhabited system, she said to her teammate, Engineer Vashati of the Nephrim. The Federation database shows no intelligent life in this sector. Vashati's gaseous form swirled inside his containment suit. Perfect for our mission. We can catalog the planets and their life forms without worrying about disturbing anyone. The third crew member, Navigator Click-Tar, moved his insect-like head to look at them. The gravitational readings are strange here. I see several large masses that do not appear on our charts. Zithara felt excited. Finding something new was always thrilling for a scientist. Let's move closer. The Federation will want detailed scans of anything unusual. The ship glided forward, its advanced engines making no sound in the vacuum of space. The crew had been together for 3 cycles, exploring the outer edges of Federation space. They were part of a peaceful mission to find new worlds and catalog new life forms. The Galactic Federation believed that knowledge and understanding were the keys to happiness across the galaxy. As they approached the system, the ship's sensors began picking up strange readings. There were planets here, but they were not like the garden worlds where most Federation species lived. These planets showed signs of extreme weather, dangerous radiation, and hostile environments. How strange, Zithara said, studying the data. These worlds are far too dangerous for life to develop. The Federation classifies them as Class 8 death worlds. Click-Tar's antennae twitched nervously. Death worlds was not a pleasant term. The Federation had found a few such planets before. They were places where everything tried to kill everything else. No intelligent life could possibly survive on such worlds. Suddenly, the ship shuddered. Warning lights flashed red across all the control panels. Vashati's gas form swirled faster inside his suit, a sign that he was alarmed. What was that? Zithara asked, her crystal body changing color to show concern. Click-Tar's many hands moved quickly over his controls. We have struck something. Some kind of gravitational anomaly that was not on our sensors. The main engine is damaged. The ship shuddered again and the lights dimmed. More warning signals began to sound. The 3 crew members looked at each other with growing worry. How bad is the damage? Zithara asked. Vashti studied his engineering displays. Very bad. The main engine core is cracked. We are losing power and life support. I can keep us alive for maybe 10 cycles, but we cannot move. Zithara felt a chill run through her crystal form. They were far from Federation space in a system that no one visited. If they could not fix their ship, they would die here. Send out a distress call, she ordered. Emergency priority. All Federation ships in this sector. Click-Tar activated the distress beacon. A standard Federation emergency signal began broadcasting into space, carrying their location and situation. The message was simple and clear. 3 crew members stranded, life support failing. Immediate rescue required. The nearest Federation patrol is 47 cycles away, Click-Tar reported after checking the star charts. Too far. They will not reach us in time. The 3 aliens sat in worried silence. Federation ships were not built for emergencies like this. They were designed for peaceful exploration, not survival in hostile space. Their ship was elegant and comfortable, but it was not strong enough to handle real danger. Hours passed. The ship continued to lose power. The life support systems worked harder to keep them alive, but Vashati could see that they were failing. The temperature was dropping and the air was getting thin. Then something unexpected happened. The communication system crackled to life with an incoming message. But it was not from a Federation ship. Federation vessel, this is Terra Colonial Survey Ship Indomitable, a strange voice said. The voice was deep and rough, unlike any Federation species they knew. We have received your distress call. Hang tight. Cavalry is coming. The 3 crew members stared at each other in confusion. They had never heard of Terra before. It was not in any Federation database. And what did cavalry mean? Zithara activated the communication system. Unknown vessel. This is Federation research ship Harmony's Light. We thank you for responding to our distress call. Are you a Federation colony ship? There was a pause, then a sound that might have been laughter. Federation? That's new. No, we're from Earth, human ship. Never heard of your Federation before, but we'll sort that out later. Right now you folks need help. Human? Zithara whispered to her crewmates. I have never heard of this species, the voice continued. We're about 6 hours out from your position. Try to keep your life support running. We'll get you fixed up. Kliktar checked his sensors looking for the approaching ship. What he found made no sense. There is a vessel approaching at impossible speed. It is moving faster than any Federation ship can travel. How fast? Zithara asked. Fast enough that any crew inside should be dead from the acceleration, Kliktar replied, his voice full of confusion. Vashiti studied the readings. And they are coming directly through the asteroid field. That is suicide. No ship can navigate those rocks at such speed, but the sensors did not lie. Something was coming toward them, moving at speeds that should have been impossible through space that should have been impossible to navigate. And whoever these humans were, they seemed confident that they could help. Zithara felt a strange mixture of hope and fear. Hope, because someone was coming to rescue them. Fear, because she was beginning to realize that these humans might be very different from any species the Federation had ever encountered. She looked at her two crewmates. All three of them came from peaceful worlds where the biggest danger was a storm or an earthquake. They had never met a species that could build ships capable of such incredible speed, or pilots brave enough to fly through asteroid fields. What kind of people are these humans? She wondered aloud. None of them knew the answer. But they were about to find out. The rescue ship continued its approach, moving through space like a predator hunting prey. The Federation crew could only wait and hope that these strange beings called humans were truly coming to help them, and not for some other purpose that they could not imagine. In the distance, the ship called Indomitable grew larger on their sensors. Soon they would meet their rescuers face to face. Zithara had the feeling that this encounter would change everything they thought they knew about the galaxy. The three Federation crew members watched their scanner displays with growing amazement and fear. The ship approaching them did not behave like any vessel they had ever seen. It moved through space like a living thing, dodging asteroids that should have crushed it and maintaining speeds that should have killed its crew. This is impossible, Kliktar said, his insect eyes wide with shock. No known technology can do this. Zithara studied the readings more carefully. The approaching ship was not just fast. It was huge, much larger than their research vessel, and built in a way that made no sense to her crystal mind. The design is all wrong, she said. Federation ships are smooth and curved for maximum efficiency. This thing is all angles and hard edges. It looks like someone tried to build a weapon instead of a spaceship. Vashati's gaseous form swirled nervously in his suit. Look at these readings. The hull is thick enough to stop asteroid impacts. The power output is 10 times what our ship produces. What kind of species builds ships like this? Before anyone could answer, the strange ship appeared on their visual display. All three aliens gasped at what they saw. The vessel was a dark gray monster covered in gun ports and armor plating. Warning lights blinked along its hull like the eyes of some predatory beast. It looked like it had been built for war. That is not a rescue ship, Kliktar whispered. That is a warship. The communication system crackled again. Federation vessel, this is Captain Chen of the Indomitable. We're coming alongside now. Hope you don't mind if we work fast. This neighborhood is not exactly safe. Zithara activated the communicator with a shaking crystal hand. Captain Chen, we are grateful for your assistance. However, we must warn you that our atmospheric systems may not be compatible with your species. There was that strange laughing sound again. Don't worry about that. We've gotten pretty good at working in hostile environments. We'll have you fixed up in no time. The alien crew watched in amazement as the human ship moved into position next to theirs. Instead of the careful, slow docking procedure that Federation ships used, the humans simply grabbed their ship with mechanical arms and held it steady. What are they doing? Vashti asked nervously. They got their answer quickly. The humans began cutting through their ship's hull with some kind of energy beam. Alarms rang throughout the Federation vessel as the hull breach detectors activated. They are cutting into our ship, Kliktar cried. We will lose atmosphere. But before they could panic, something incredible happened. The humans had somehow created a pressurized tunnel between the two ships. They had cut through the hull and sealed the breach at the same time, creating a safe passage in a matter of minutes. Zithara stared at the new opening in their ship's wall. How did they do that? Such technology should take hours to install safely. These humans work very fast, Vashti observed. Too fast. It is almost like they have done this many times before. Heavy footsteps echoed through the tunnel, and the Federation crew prepared to meet their rescuers. Nothing could have prepared them for what came through the opening. The human who entered their ship was unlike any intelligent being they had ever encountered. She was tall and moved with fluid grace that reminded them of the predatory animals they had seen in nature documentaries. Her skin was dark, her hair was black, and when she smiled, she showed white teeth that looked very sharp. "Captain Sarah Chen," she said, extending her hand in what they would later learn was a human greeting. "Good to meet you, folks. Sorry about the rough entry, but we needed to work fast." The three aliens backed away instinctively. Every instinct they had developed over millions of years of evolution told them that this creature was dangerous. The way she moved, the way she looked directly at them, even the way she stood suggested a being that had evolved to hunt and kill. Zithara forced herself to step forward. As the science officer, it was her duty to make first contact. "I am Science Officer Zithara. These are Engineer Vashti and Navigator Kliktar. We thank you for responding to our distress call." Captain Chen looked at each of them with interest. Her eyes were bright and alert, taking in every detail. Fascinating. 3 different species working together. The Federation must be quite an organization. More humans came through the tunnel carrying equipment and tools. They moved with the same predatory grace as their captain, and they worked with incredible efficiency. One of them, who introduced himself as Engineer Martinez, took one look at their damaged engine and shook his head. "This is beautiful work," he said, examining their engine core. "Elegant design, very efficient, but it's built like a luxury yacht. No backup systems, no redundancies, no armor protection. One hit and you're dead in space." Vashti felt offended. "Our engines are the finest in Federation space. They have never failed before." Martinez smiled, showing those sharp teeth again. "That's because you've never run into real trouble before. This baby wouldn't last 5 minutes in a combat zone." "Combat zone?" Zithara asked. "Why would a research vessel need to survive combat?" The humans all looked at each other and Captain Chen laughed. "Because space is dangerous and dangerous things live in it. You build for the worst case, hope for the best case." Engineer Martinez was already working on their engine, installing human components that looked ridiculously thick and heavy compared to Federation technology. "Don't worry, we'll get you running again. These spare parts are military grade. They're built to take a beating." As the humans worked, Captain Chen sat down with the Federation crew to exchange information. The conversation that followed changed everything the aliens thought they knew about intelligent life. "So tell me about this Federation of yours," Chen said. "How many species? How long have you been spacefaring?" Zithara explained about the Galactic Federation, how dozens of peaceful species had come together to explore the galaxy and share knowledge. She talked about their great cities, their scientific achievements, and their philosophy of cooperation and understanding. Captain Chen listened with interest, but also with something that looked like amazement. "That sounds wonderful," she said. "But how do you handle threats? Pirates, hostile aliens, natural disasters?" "We avoid dangerous areas," Kliktar explained. "And we have protocols for peaceful resolution of conflicts." "What if peaceful resolution doesn't work?" Chen asked. The 3 aliens looked at each other. It was not a question they had ever seriously considered. "It always works," Zithara said. "Intelligent beings prefer cooperation to conflict." Captain Chen was quiet for a moment. Then she said something that chilled them to their cores. "You've never met a species that evolved on a death world, have you?" "Death world?" Vashti asked. "We know of such planets. Class 8 worlds where life cannot develop intelligence." Chen smiled, that predatory smile again. "Class 8. That's cute. Earth is what we'd call a Class 12 death world. Ice ages, supervolcanoes, asteroid impacts, predators with teeth like knives and claws like swords. Everything on our planet evolved to kill everything else." The alien stared at her in horror. A Class 12 death world was impossible. Nothing could survive on such a planet, let alone develop intelligence in spaceflight. "And humans?" Zithara whispered. "We're the apex predators," Chen said simply. We survived everything the planet could throw at us, and then we built spaceships and went looking for more challenges. The repairs were finished surprisingly quickly. The human technology was crude compared to Federation standards, but it was incredibly robust. Martinez had essentially rebuilt their engine with parts that looked like they could survive a direct hit from an asteroid. As the humans prepared to leave, Captain Chen paused at the tunnel entrance. "Your Federation sounds like a nice place," she said, "but you might want to think about building stronger ships. The galaxy is a big place, and not everything out here is as friendly as you are." After the humans left, the 3 Federation crew members sat in stunned silence. Their ship was running perfectly, better than it had in years, but their understanding of the universe had been completely shattered. "They are what we might have become," Zithara said quietly. "If we had never learned to cooperate, never moved past our violent origins." But even as she said it, she wondered if that was true. The humans had seemed genuinely kind and helpful. They had risked their own safety to rescue strangers. Maybe they had not moved past their violent origins so much as they had learned to channel that violence into protection rather than destruction. Either way, the Federation was about to discover that they were not alone in the galaxy, and their new neighbors were unlike anything they had ever imagined. The repairs took longer than Captain Chen had first thought. The Federation ship's damage was worse than it appeared, and some of their systems were completely incompatible with human technology. This meant that more humans had to come aboard the Harmony's Light, giving the alien crew their first real look at humanity. Zithara watched in fascination and growing alarm as human after human came through the connecting tunnel. Each one was different in appearance, but they all shared the same predatory characteristics that marked them as apex hunters. They moved with confidence through the alien ship, showing no fear or hesitation. "How many of you are there?" she asked Captain Chen as they watched Engineer Martinez and his team work on the navigation systems. "On my ship? About 300, Chen replied. "We're a survey vessel, so we travel light. A proper colony ship carries 50,000 people." Kliktar's antennae trembled. 50,000 individuals on one ship? That is larger than most Federation colonies, Chen nodded. "We build big. When you're heading into unknown space, you want to bring everything you might need. Food, equipment, weapons, spare parts, medical supplies, entertainment systems. You name it." "Weapons?" Vashti asked nervously. "Why would a colony ship need weapons?" The captain looked at him as if he had asked why ships needed engines. "Because you never know what you're going to find out there. Could be hostile aliens, space pirates, dangerous wildlife, or just bad weather. Better to have guns and not need them than need guns and not have them." The 3 Federation crew members exchanged worried glances. The idea of arming civilian vessels was completely foreign to them. In Federation space, only the patrol ships carried any kind of weapons, and those were mainly for dealing with natural hazards like asteroids. Dr. Sarah Kim, the human medical officer, came over to examine the aliens. She was smaller than Captain Chen, but no less intimidating. Her movements were precise and controlled, like a surgeon or perhaps an assassin. "Fascinating biology," she said, scanning Zithara with a small device. "Your silicon-based structure is incredibly elegant. How do you process nutrients?" Zithara explained the Veltar method of absorbing minerals through their skin, while Dr. Kim nodded and took notes. But when the human doctor started asking about vulnerabilities and weaknesses, the crystal being became uncomfortable. "Why do you need to know about our weak points?" Zithara asked. Dr. Kim looked surprised. "Medical reasons, of course. If you get injured, I need to know how to help you. What happens if you crack? Can you regenerate? Are there any substances that are toxic to your species?" The questions made sense from a medical standpoint, but they also sounded like the kind of information a warrior might need to know about potential enemies. Zithara answered carefully, not sure whether she was talking to a healer or a threat assessor. Sergeant Torres, the human security chief, was examining the Federation ship's defensive systems. What he found made him laugh out loud. "Captain, you need to see this," he called to Chen. "They don't have any weapons, not even point defense systems. No armor, no shields, no emergency protocols for hostile contact." Captain Chen frowned. "None at all? How do you defend yourselves?" Kliktar tried to explain. "We do not encounter hostile forces. The Federation maintains peace throughout our territory. When we do meet new species, we use diplomatic protocols to establish friendly relations." "What if diplomacy fails?" Sergeant Torres asked. It does not fail, Kliktar insisted. All intelligent species prefer cooperation to conflict. The humans all looked at each other, and Zithara could see something in their expressions that she did not understand. It was not exactly pity, but it was close. You've been lucky so far, Captain Chen said gently, but the galaxy is a big place. Not everyone out there is going to be friendly. Engineer Martinez called out from the engine room. Captain, you should see what I found in their database. They've got records of dozens of intelligent species, all peaceful, all cooperative. It's like they found the one corner of the galaxy where everyone gets along. Dr. Kim was studying her scanner readings with interest. Their stress responses are minimal. These species have evolved in low-threat environments. No fight-or-flight reflexes, no adrenaline systems, no combat instincts. Zithara felt increasingly uncomfortable with the direction of the conversation. Is there something wrong with being peaceful? Not wrong, Captain Chen said carefully. But it might be limiting. What happens when you encounter a species that isn't peaceful? Or a natural disaster that can't be reasoned with? Vashti swirled nervously in his containment suit. We have contingency plans for natural disasters. As for hostile species, such things are theoretical only. We have never encountered true aggression from intelligent beings. Sergeant Torres snorted. You've never run into pirates? Raiders, conquest-minded empires? No, Zithara said. Such things exist only in historical records from our primitive past. The humans fell silent at this, and the atmosphere in the room became tense. Captain Chen spoke slowly and carefully. Where we come from, those things are not historical. Pirates raid shipping lanes every day. There are entire star systems controlled by warlords and slavers. We've fought 3 major wars in the last century, and we're still dealing with the aftermath. The Federation crew stared at her in horror. You fight wars? Kliktar whispered. In space? Against other intelligent species? Sometimes, Chen admitted. Usually we try diplomacy first. But when someone is shooting at your colony ships and enslaving your people, you shoot back. Dr. Kim pulled out a small device and showed them holographic images. The aliens gasped at what they saw. Pictures of human soldiers in combat armor, human warships firing massive weapons, human cities under attack from unknown enemies. This is what we deal with on a regular basis, she explained. Earth isn't the only death world out there, and some of the species that evolved on those worlds didn't turn out as nice as humans did. Engineer Martinez came over with a data pad. I've been looking at their star charts. The Federation territory is completely surrounded by what they call uninhabitable systems. But according to our surveys, some of those systems are inhabited by things that would give you nightmares. Captain Chen studied the data pad with growing concern. How long has the Federation existed without contact with these neighbors? Zithara thought about it. Several thousand years. Our border worlds have reported strange signals from the surrounding systems, but our probes always malfunction when they investigate. Malfunction? Or get shot down? Sergeant Torres asked grimly. The question hung in the air like a dark cloud. The Federation crew was beginning to realize that their peaceful civilization might exist only because they had been protected by something they did not understand. Captain Chen made a decision. I think we need to have a longer conversation. Would you be willing to visit our ship? I'd like you to meet some more of our people and share information. Zithara looked at her crewmates. They were all thinking the same thing. These humans were dangerous, but they were also the first beings they had ever met who seemed to understand threats that the Federation had never imagined. Yes, she said, we would like to learn more about your people. As they prepared to transfer to the human ship, Vashti whispered to Zithara, Are we making a mistake? These humans could be more dangerous than any threat we might face. Zithara looked at Captain Chen, who was helping Kliktar with his equipment harness. The human captain could have simply left them after the repairs were finished. Instead, she was taking time to understand their situation and share information. Perhaps, Zithara said, but I think we are about to learn some very important truths about the galaxy, and I suspect we are going to need all the help we can get. The transfer to the human ship was an experience none of the Federation crew would ever forget. Walking through the corridors of the Indomitable was like entering the mind of a species that had been shaped by constant warfare and endless vigilance. Every surface was reinforced. Every corridor had emergency blast doors. Every room had multiple exits and emergency supplies. It was not just a ship. It was a fortress that could travel between the stars, and everywhere they looked, they saw humans going. About their daily business with casual competence, that spoke of a civilization that had turned survival into an art form. The Federation crew was about to get an education in what it really meant to be human. Walking through the human ship was like entering a completely different universe. The Federation crew followed Captain Chen through corridors that seemed designed for war rather than exploration. Every wall was thick metal covered with warning signs and emergency equipment. Blast doors stood ready to seal off sections of the ship at a moment's notice. "This is our main corridor," Chen explained as they walked. "Notice the emergency stations every 50 meters. Oxygen masks, fire suppression systems, emergency tools, and communication devices. When things go wrong in space, they go wrong fast." Sithara touched one of the emergency stations with her crystal hand. The equipment was built to last, with thick metal casings and simple controls that could be operated even by someone wearing heavy gloves. "You expect your ship to be damaged regularly?" "We prepare for it," Chen replied. "Hope for the best, plan for the worst. That's how humans survive." They passed groups of humans going about their daily work. Some were maintaining equipment, others were exercising in small gymnasiums, and still others were studying at computer terminals. But what struck the Federation crew was how alert everyone looked. Even when relaxed, the humans maintained a watchfulness that suggested they were always ready for trouble. Dr. Kim led them to what she called the observation deck. It was a large room with transparent walls that looked out into space. But even this peaceful area had emergency features that amazed the aliens. "The windows can be sealed with armor plating in 3 seconds, she explained. "And this entire section can be separated from the rest of the ship if we're boarded by hostiles." "Boarded?" Vashti asked nervously. "Other beings come onto your ship to attack you?" "It happens," Chen said simply. "Pirates mostly. Some alien species see humans as valuable slaves because we can work in hostile environments that kill other races." The Federation crew absorbed this information with growing shock. The idea of intelligent beings enslaving other intelligent beings was almost impossible for them to understand. Commander Jackson, the ship's first officer, joined them on the observation deck. He was a large human with scars on his hands and face that spoke of violent encounters. When he spoke, his voice carried the authority of someone who had fought many battles. "Captain Chen tells me you folks have never encountered hostile aliens," he said. "That's remarkable. In our experience, about 30% of intelligent species are actively hostile. Another 40% are neutral but opportunistic, and only 30% are genuinely peaceful." Clicktar's antennae drooped. "We had hoped that intelligence would naturally lead to cooperation." "It does sometimes," Jackson replied. "But intelligence can also lead to more efficient ways of being aggressive. Smart predators are more dangerous than dumb ones." Chen activated a holographic display that showed a 3-dimensional map of local space. The Federation territory appeared as a blue area, surrounded by red zones marked as hostile or unknown threat level. "This is what we see when we look at your space," she explained. "You're completely surrounded by dangerous neighbors, but according to your records, you've never had contact with any of them." Zithara studied the display with growing alarm. "These red areas, you know what lives there?" Dr. Kim called up files on several species. The holographic images that appeared made the Federation crew recoil in horror. Massive insectoid creatures with razor-sharp claws, cybernetic beings that looked more machine than organic, reptilian humanoids with weapons grafted directly onto their bodies. "The Skarn Collective," Chen said, pointing to one image. "They view other species as raw materials for their bioengineering experiments. The machine consciousness considers organic life to be a disease that must be cured. And the Blood Raiders? Well, their name says it all." "How do you know so much about these species?" Vashti asked. Commander Jackson's expression darkened. "Because we've fought all of them. Multiple times. The Skarn have tried to invade human space 3 times in the last 50 years. We're currently in a cold war with the machine consciousness. And the Blood Raiders? Let's just say we've learned not to let them take prisoners." The Federation crew was silent for a long moment, trying to process this information. Their entire worldview was crumbling. They had always believed that the galaxy was fundamentally peaceful, with violence being a relic of primitive evolution. But how have we avoided contact with these threats? Sithara asked. Engineer Martinez, who had been listening quietly, spoke up. I've been analyzing your border sensor data. You're getting probes from hostile species on a regular basis, but something has been destroying them before they reach your inhabited worlds. Something? Clickter asked. Martinez nodded. Automated defense systems. Incredibly sophisticated ones. Someone built a network of hidden weapon platforms around your entire territory. They've been protecting you for centuries and you never knew it. The implications hit the Federation crew like a physical blow. They had not been safe because they were peaceful. They had been safe because someone had been fighting their wars for them without their knowledge. Who? Cythera whispered. Who has been protecting us? Captain Chen and her officers exchanged glances. We have some theories, Chen said carefully. But I think you're not going to like the answer. She activated another holographic display, this one showing ancient star charts and energy signatures. The defense network uses technology that's similar to some very old human systems. We think your protectors might have been an earlier wave of human expansion that we lost contact with centuries ago. Dr. Kim pulled up genetic data. We found evidence of human colonies in this region that date back over 1,000 years. Pioneer ships that left Earth during our early expansion period and never reported back. Commander Jackson continued the explanation. These early colonies were established during what we call the fortress period of human expansion. Every colony was built like a military base, with massive defensive systems and armies of automated weapons. The Federation crew stared at the data in shock. You mean there are other humans already in our space? Vashti asked. Probably, Chen replied. But they've been isolated for so long that they might not consider themselves human anymore. 1,000 years of evolution on hostile worlds can change a species dramatically. Cythera felt a chill run through her crystal structure. And these lost humans, they have been protecting us? That's our best guess, Martinez said. The defense network shows signs of human tactical thinking, layered defenses, redundant systems, and a preference for automated weapons rather than risking personnel. Dr. Kim brought up another set of data. There's more. We've detected energy signatures that suggest some of the defensive platforms are powered by stellar engineering. Someone has been building structures inside stars to generate power. The scope of what they were learning overwhelmed the Federation crew. Not only were they surrounded by hostile aliens, but they had been protected by a mysterious human civilization that possessed technology beyond anything they had imagined. Commander Jackson stood up and walked to the observation windows. The question now is what we do with this information. The Federation needs to know about the threats surrounding them. But if we make contact with the local human colonies, it might disrupt whatever agreements keep the peace. Captain Chen joined him at the window. There's another problem. Our arrival here will eventually be detected by the hostile species. When they realize that the Federation has made contact with outside humans, they might decide to launch a preemptive attack. Cythera felt the weight of responsibility settling on her crystal shoulders. The decisions made in the next few days could determine the fate of billions of peaceful beings who had no idea that their lives hung in the balance. What do you recommend? She asked. Chen turned to look at her. We recommend that you contact your government immediately. Tell them everything we've told you. The Federation needs to start preparing for the possibility that their protected isolation is about to end. And then? Clicktar asked. Then we help you prepare for what's coming, Jackson said grimly. Because ready or not, the Federation is about to become part of a much larger and more dangerous galaxy. The peaceful universe that the Federation had known for thousands of years was about to come to an end. And their survival would depend on learning lessons that humans had paid for with blood and sacrifice across the dark reaches of space. The communication to the Federation Council was the most difficult message Cythera had ever composed. How do you tell a peaceful civilization that their entire understanding of the universe is wrong? How do you explain that they have survived not through wisdom and cooperation, but because unknown guardians have been fighting their battles in secret? She sat in the human ship's communication center, surrounded by technology that could reach across impossible distances in real time. The humans had offered to let her use their quantum communication array, which was far more advanced than anything the Federation possessed. Captain Chen stood beside her as she prepared to make the call. Remember, the human said gently, the goal is not to terrify them. It's to help them understand what they're facing and give them time to prepare. Cythera activated the communicator and waited for the connection to establish. The image of Chancellor Veltarn appeared on the screen. her crystal features showing surprise at seeing an unknown communication system. Science Officer Zithara, we received your emergency beacon. Are you safe? Yes, Chancellor. We are safe, thanks to rescue by an unknown spacefaring species. But we have discovered information that the Council must hear immediately. Zithara spent the next hour explaining everything they had learned. The existence of humans, the hostile species surrounding Federation space, and the mysterious defense network that had protected them for centuries. Chancellor Veltarn listened with growing alarm, occasionally asking for clarification or requesting that certain points be repeated. When the explanation was finished, there was a long silence. Then the Chancellor asked the question that Zithara had been dreading. Are you certain of this information? The implications are catastrophic, Zithara finished. Yes, Chancellor. I understand. But the humans have provided extensive evidence, and their sensor readings confirm the presence of hostile forces just beyond our borders. Chancellor Veltarn looked off-screen, apparently consulting with other council members. When she returned her attention to the conversation, her expression was grave. The council will need to meet immediately. This information changes everything about our understanding of galactic civilization. Can these humans provide military assistance if needed? Zithara looked at Captain Chen, who nodded slowly. They are willing to help, Zithara said. But they warn that any open contact between the Federation and humanity might provoke the hostile species into action. Then we must be very careful about our next steps, the Chancellor replied. Science Officer Zithara, you and your crew are ordered to accompany these humans back to our space. The Council will want to speak with them directly. After the communication ended, Zithara sat back in her chair, feeling exhausted. The peaceful galaxy she had known since childhood was gone forever, replaced by a dark universe full of threats and dangers. Captain Chen placed a hand on her shoulder. You did well. That was not an easy conversation to have. What happens now? Zithara asked. Now we head to Federation space and see if we can help your people prepare for what's coming, Chen replied. But first, there's something else you need to know. She led Zithara back to the briefing room, where Commander Jackson and Dr. Kim were waiting with new information. We've been in contact with Earth Fleet Command, Jackson explained. They're very interested in the Federation situation, but they're also concerned about something else. Dr. Kim activated a holographic display showing deep space sensor readings. Our long-range scanners have detected massive fleet movements in the hostile territories around Federation space. The Skarn Collective, the Machine Consciousness, and at least 3 other major powers are moving ships toward your borders. Zithara felt her crystal structure grow cold. They know about the contact between humans and the Federation. They know something has changed, Chen said. The defense network that protected you has been active for so long that it became part of the local balance of power. Any change in that balance will make everyone nervous. Commander Jackson brought up tactical displays showing ship positions and movement patterns. We estimate that you have maybe 6 months before someone decides to test your defenses. If the automated systems fail or if the hostile species figure out how to bypass them. He did not need to finish the sentence. Everyone in the room understood the implications. Dr. Kim leaned forward. There is some good news. Earth Fleet Command is authorizing a defensive assistance package. We can provide technological upgrades, training, and limited military support. Limited? Zithara asked. Humanity is already fighting wars on 3 different fronts, Chen explained. We can't spare a full battle fleet to defend Federation space. But we can help you defend yourselves. Over the following days, as the 2 ships traveled toward Federation space, Zithara and her crew learned more about human military doctrine than they had ever wanted to know. They saw weapons demonstrations that left them speechless. They studied tactical scenarios that gave them nightmares. And they began to understand just how much their peaceful civilization would need to change in order to survive. The humans were patient teachers, but they did not sugarcoat the reality of what the Federation faced. Engineer Martinez showed them how to retrofit their ships with armor and weapons. Dr. Kim explained combat medicine and trauma surgery. Sergeant Torres taught them about small unit tactics and personal combat. But perhaps most importantly, Captain Chen helped them understand the psychology of survival. The hardest part for your people will be accepting that peace sometimes requires the ability to fight, she explained. During one of their conversations, you can't negotiate with someone who sees you as prey. You can't reason with someone who wants to exterminate your species. Clicktar, who had been struggling with these concepts more than the others, asked, "But how do you maintain your values while preparing for war? How do you stay civilized when you must become warriors?" Chen smiled sadly. "You remember what you're fighting for. We don't fight because we enjoy violence. We fight to protect the things we love. Your peaceful civilization is worth defending, but only if you're willing to defend it." As they approached Federation space, the human ship's sensors detected the first signs of the defensive network that had protected the aliens for so long. Massive energy signatures hidden throughout the outer system, weapon platforms disguised as asteroids, and communication networks that had been monitoring galactic traffic for centuries. "Impressive work," Commander Jackson admitted as he studied the readings. "Whoever built this system knew what they were doing. But it's old and it's showing signs of strain." Dr. Kim pointed to several anomalous readings. Some of the platforms are running low on power. Others show battle damage from recent encounters. The system is still functional, but it won't last forever. Captain Chen made a decision that would affect the future of both species. "We're going to make contact with the network operators," she announced. "It's time to meet the humans who have been protecting the Federation." The first response came almost immediately. A voice speaking ancient Earth English, heavily accented by centuries of linguistic drift, crackled over the communication system. "Unknown human vessel, you are entering protected space. State your intentions." "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Terra Colonial Survey ship Indomitable," Chen replied. "We're escorting Federation citizens home after a rescue operation. We know about the network. We're here to help." There was a long pause. Then, "Federation citizens? How do you know about the Protectorate? No outsider has discovered the truth in 800 years. Because we're human too," Chen said simply. "And it's time for all of us to work together. The old enemies are moving again, and this time they're bringing friends." Another pause, longer this time. Finally, "Permission granted to approach Station Prime, but be warned, Captain Chen, if you betray the Protectorate, we will destroy you." As they headed toward the coordinates they had been given, Zithara realized that the next few hours would determine whether the Federation learned to defend itself or simply found new protectors. Either way, the age of innocence was over. The galaxy had become a much more dangerous place, but perhaps it had also become a place where different species could work together to face common threats. The alliance between the Federation and humanity was about to be tested in ways that neither species could fully imagine. But for the first time since learning about the hostile forces surrounding her people, Zithara felt a small spark of hope. Humans had survived on a death world by learning to work together against impossible odds. Perhaps that same spirit of cooperation could help the Federation survive in a galaxy that was far more hostile than they had ever dreamed. The future was uncertain, but it was no longer hopeless. And sometimes that was enough to build on.